Yeah, man. So, how's everything, man? How's your week?
Hasn't been bad. Just been busy. I've been this coaching thing, like it's hella fun. I didn't realize how much I was doing. Like I coach 3 days a week and then we have games on Sunday. So I pretty much do that 4 days a week.
Damn.
I just applied to this. I applied. Can you hear me well? I probably should talk louder. But I applied to this. So the last week or 2 weeks ago, I told you, did I tell you I mentor like this sophomore student?
No, no, I don't think you did. Maybe you did. I don't know.
So I mentor for this company called Mentor Me. I think they started in New York actually, but they got a Boston site. So
Mental me.
anyway, I was just looking for some information on the website about some event that we were supposed to go to, and I saw that Mentor Me was hiring someone for this like associate director of like college access. So essentially, someone to run their college program, and
Hmm.
the organization does this 3 year mentorship program where you mentor, where two mentors mentor one person from sophomore to college and
Oh
helps them
wow.
get into college and shit like that. And they had this job about the college access, and for some reason, I was like, "You should apply to this. This sounds pretty dope." So I applied and I got an interview, and I interviewed with them on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Uh, but I felt like I did terrible in that interview. Like
You just
I
chilling.
left that interview. I was like, damn, I fucking sucked. I wouldn't hire me if I was that person. And Stephanie was like, no, I'm sure you did good.
Yeah.
Remember, I did terrible, and then they called me back and gave me this job, and she's just had this job that she loves so far. But I woke up the next day and I was like, no, I fucking did shitty. I That was a terrible
Yeah.
interview. So I like emailed the woman who interviewed me, who's the director of programs,
Like
and
I'm
I just
sorry
told
if I
her,
did shitty.
yeah, essentially, I was like, I was not myself, uh, and I would love just another chance to tell you why this position really means a lot to me. And I haven't been applying to jobs, right? I haven't applied to a single job
Yeah.
since I left Axon. I've been good doing my thing, but this one really spoke to me. So I emailed her and she emailed me back and she's like, I'm glad you reached out. And so she let me call her and then give her like my 5 to 10 minute spiel. And she offered me the,
Wow.
the second interview. She offered me the next level of interview on the
Oh
spot.
wow.
So it
So you
worked
don't know if you
out.
got it yet, right?
No, I got to do this other, like the next
Okay.
interview thing. It's just like a project,
It,
but I don't think she was about to send me that before because she was like, we'll let you know. We'll be in touch at the end of the week. And
yeah.
I was like, no, I'm not going to wait till the end of the week for you to tell me I did shitty. I know I did shitty. So
I mean, I
what?
guess that was a good move just to admit. And is that was like strategic? Is that something you would offer? And like as a thing, if you mess up on this interview, like just you might fuck up. Let just do this.
I mean, I don't know if I would offer it, but I'm saying like I tried it and it worked out, right? Uh,
Yeah,
it might not work out, but one thing I learned is the worst thing anyone, well, people could do some terrible things, but like likely the worst thing that could happen is they say no. And
yeah.
right, like I'd rather be a little embarrassed than miss out on an opportunity.
Opportunity. Yeah,
So and that's something that I'm like, there's things that I've been insecure about and too shy or too scared to do. And there's also been times where I've stepped up where people are like, "Oh, I never would have done that."
yeah,
So I think it's like, I think you have your moments. I think people should take more moments though, like take more
yeah.
moments of courage and ignore the the feelings of embarrassment and lean more into the feelings of the courage to
Yeah.
just see what happens.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think I have these same moments where like I take these bold moves out of
Hmm.
like nowhere and like which which is kind of like, you know, may seem out of character at times, but the more bold moves you make, the more it seems like that it becomes you. But
Hmm.
I think like just taking like if you're someone with fear, some fear in your life, especially constant fear, but if you're able to take small steps to make some bold decisions with um some level of conviction and confidence, and courage, you can actually right maybe add that to your just your character, especially if you want that to be you. If you have a desire in you to become like someone who's fearless. I mean, like we said last week, right? We can, pretty much be whoever we want to be. It's just that we just have to make actions towards that.
Yeah, and I don't think everyone needs to be fearless, but there should be I think everyone should act fearless at some point in their life.
Hmm.
Right? Like everyone should exert some sort of there should be something that they're fearless about doing
Yeah,
at like at I don't want to say at least once in their life, but there should be things that they are willing to be fearless about, or else like if you're scared, if we're constantly scared, we don't try new things to discover something about
yeah,
ourselves, right? Or to even give us the chance to find out if we want to be a fearless person, like you're
yeah. That's
talking
fair.
about, right? There's just too much to do and see and try to explore in the world to not give ourselves the chance.
Yeah.
But I haven't always been like that, right? Like that is something that you have to build up to.
Nah, that's the same for me. There's been, especially like early on in your life, you kind of like only take uh chances where you can like predict the outcome. You play it like safe a lot, and even how we choose our careers, how we choose, maybe our partners or choose, our friends or whatever it can be, the decisions we make. But if you want to like, I guess, create um like change or like growth in your life, you may have to make decisions that are a bit uh out of character or out of your norm. This way you can kind of like reach that next level of growth. But if you want to reach that next level of growth, you may have to make different decisions, which may require some level of courage.
What's like what's one of those decisions that you've made that's memorable to you? That's just that's different. I think out of your comfort zone is what you mean, right? Like
Yeah,
done something that you weren't that people wouldn't have guessed you would do, or something that you weren't the most comfortable doing, but really loved the outcome of what came.
yeah. I mean, one thing obviously that would come to mind is just like my willingness to take initiative as far as how I conduct business as a law enforcement executive. Um, even risks in some may see it as a risk as far as how of of the way I'm able to connect with the community and do pilot programs that are different than what we traditionally have done, um, as far as the law enforcement profession. So I would say that those may be, that may be seen as taking like a step and like not worrying so much of how I may be viewed culturally, but just like trying not to care about that negative voice and just like moving with a level of conviction.
So like the you're saying the decisions to do more community based work in your police work? Is the risk that, like, the decision to do that kind of policing is the stepping outside your comfort zone that you're talking about, the
Yeah, I
risk
think
thing, and you like the payoff that that risk has brought.
yeah, I mean, yeah, when you think about how we traditionally police, and then when you're seeing that there's a need to do something different, like we said last week, creating like initiatives centered on public health and just making public health a priority when we view or when we move in policing or in how we police. Yeah, I think I would say, obviously there's some cultural risk, how you seen people see it as soft or people see it as this, but as far as the support that's gained from the community, I think is extremely worth it. And I would definitely, and this is why I really want to continue it because I do see the benefits in doing this.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah. But what about you? What like things have you done that like I guess took like some courage or like some, you know.
That's tricky. I don't know. I've done a lot of things that I think on the outside look courageous, like joining the military or uh, picking up and moving across country without ever having been there before. Uh, I think I don't know, getting. Oh, I know. So just starting my own business. So
Oh yeah.
leaving that organization and then uh, deciding after years, after, like, I've wanted to do this for years, but never had the courage to do it. And after leaving this last job, the thought of applying to jobs again, which you haven't had to do in a long time, so you probably don't know this, but it's very degrading. You have to,
Yeah.
like, write cover letter after cover letter after cover letter to a bunch of
Yeah.
organizations that mostly never even respond.
Mm.
And then you go through this demeaning process of doing interviews with many that also never give you good feedback. Uh, so, like, yeah, that whole job search process, plus the wanting to to do what you were talking about before we started this, but
Mm.
be the pioneer of my own uh, way of doing things, to be
Yeah.
the pilot of my own ship instead of following other people's on our backs, who, like,
Yeah.
use us to get into the community, but really find our own route and do it our own way and not be told that we have to do it a certain way.
Yeah.
That has been the the payoff, is, like, actually doing my own thing and doing it the way that I want to.
Yeah.
And it took just not wanting to be put through humiliation to get the courage
Yeah.
to, like, start my own thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that's a great example. I think an example for me would also be just like just doing this, right?
Hmm.
Just putting myself out there. I'm not a heavy social media guy. I haven't been. But I just felt like this is something I wanted to do. I wanted to be a little bit I want to be more vocal in expressing my ideas and my thoughts. I normally have one-on-one conversations or conversations with groups. around what we talk about, just life experiences, um, especially just thoughts as black men on how we navigate life, how we navigate relationships, our professions. And usually those conversations are really in depth, and they really it benefits, people, to talk about this stuff. And usually people find some level of guidance, um when I talk, or I may find some level of guidance from others, and again, it's mutually beneficial. So, we thought that, like, just having, like, these discussions in a more public platform and allowing people to absorb the conversation and take from them what they feel they want to take from, or just like, just listen and just like, and share some of the sentiments that we may have as black men.
Yeah, I think that there's courage on so many levels because there's not much. I don't know that there's much like this out there already. So there's like a
Yeah,
courage and sense of like no one else is doing this. There's a courage in the sense of in that same vein, will people even appreciate this? So well, like we don't know, so we'll try it.
yeah,
And then there's a courage in the sense that like uh to do this takes some internal courage to share yourself and your opinions
yeah,
and your thoughts and ideas out across the airwaves for people to consume and then
mhm,
do whatever they do with what they do with people's thoughts. So
yeah,
that's like a trifold courageous movement.
yeah, exactly. And it takes, you know, many may not want to do this because it take like we're caught up in the opinions of others. Many of us are like, oh, what would this person think? What would that person think? But like you said, the level of courage to move beyond what people think and just to like express yourselves without that care, and just like, what, I have thoughts and I want to be able to speak on my thoughts. And even like how we don't prepare for these talks, so these conversations are really just kind of like free flowing without prep. um so we don't know where exactly we're going at times, so which is a good thing. And that's how, like, these are real conversations that we're having, and it's, you know it is what it is. And we again, I feel that um this platform can be very useful for others. And again, we already have people that who's engaged in what we're talking about. And I told you I had some my friends that want to kind of jump on this and see,
Yeah.
which would be dope.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
would be, especially people that think about the world in these kinds of ways. So hearing
yeah,
from them is important. I'm with you. I like that it's not like we plan what we're going to talk about, but I think that shows the way that we see the world. So the fact that we don't have to plan what we talk about, but when we do talk, we find like the messages that are hidden in the subjects that we're talking about,
yeah,
right? So even with this, I was just telling you about something that happened in my life, and we realized that it has something to do with how we approach life, right? Like what
yeah,
kinds of tactics we should use when, I don't know, looking for a job, like we were just talking about,
mhm,
or what kinds of characteristic traits uh, are necessary to be successful or to quote unquote successful, right? I think everyone has their own definition of successful, but understanding human behavior and understanding how the world works is something that's really interesting to me. So,
mhm,
in all those, like what you were talking about, how we can have these conversations and it not be structured. Every time we're interacting with folks, there's lessons that we're learning,
Yeah.
right? Like we can be learning lessons all the time. And some may think that that's like overwhelming, but I think that's just because people have been taught to feel like anytime you're learning a lesson, you're doing a lot. But like all you have to do is just take in information and you can learn a lesson, right?
Learn
Like,
a lesson.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
I've talked to people on the bus for 5 minutes and learned something new. And it wasn't like I had to study for a high school trig exam or anything. It was just we talked for a minute and I got information, and that was something that taught me how to look at the world differently,
Yeah.
which is very powerful. And I think in these interactions that we're talking about, that's what's happening, right? Like we can talk about something small and it teaches us about each other or about how the world works, and then we develop our understanding so much
Yeah.
clearer. And it's something that's lacking, right? I don't think people are doing that anymore.
Yeah. And I think both of us have this, is like this desire to like to grow and to seek information from others, and to get to and to look for gems, and look for like for game. I think that's important because a lot of times, if we're not aware, someone may give you the thing you need through conversation, and it could be just like a random conversation. And if you're not aware and present, you didn't receive that gem, or that bit of information that may have helped you navigate a certain circumstance in your life. And these messages always come. Like, we can be going through things in our life and challenges, or we could be going through whatever, and the information that we need to get through it is constantly being sent to us. And because we're so caught up in our heads or in our minds, we're not
Yeah.
able to receive that information that can actually get you through it. So uh, and I think that awareness about like seeking information, seeking knowledge, seeking game is, I think, is kind of like very essential to like getting through whatever circumstances. Because I myself like have been, I've gone through whatever I've gone through, and it'd be those moments where like it could be like some random, it could be like it could be like somebody in the train, or whatever, and they just, you just quick conversation, you like, oh, all right, that was meant for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how it happens. It could just like that.
Yeah, I agree, man. And if we're not, I like the information seeking. Sometimes I don't even think people have to be information seeking, right? You don't have to seek it out. It's there, like you're saying. Like I was just on
Mhm.
the train and that it was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
oh, that's
exactly.
meant for me, right? Like
Yeah,
you weren't even looking for it and it
exactly.
showed up, right? And
Yeah.
you just have to be aware, right? It's not like you have to put energy. I don't even think, I mean, obviously there's things we do have to put energy into, right? We do have to work hard to make things happen, but there's a lot of information out there just sitting there. And if we haven't trained our minds to like soak in stuff, to like actually receive information, then we're constantly missing the signs, right? Missing, I think that's how like people get, um, like, I don't think, I don't think the antithesis to to pessimism is optimism. I think it's just I think it's just information. I think it's just knowledge seeking, right? Like
Knowledge,
the like
knowledge,
when
yeah.
we're learning, or not even knowledge seeking, but like acceptance, right?
Mhm.
So pessimism is like noticing all the bad things.
Mhm.
Optimism is only paying attention to the good things. But like the real antithesis is being aware and like seeing those signs, right? Like when that sign on the train pops up, you recognize it. So like this isn't like a bad thing or a good thing. It's a thing that can become a tool for you. It's a
Yes.
thing that can be hurtful, right? Back to that perspective thing we said before, where it could be like something that hurts us,
Mhm.
or it can be something that we use to motivate us, whatever.
Motivate.
But if we're not even aware enough to see those signs, then we're missing out on how to like really participate in life, right? Like
Yeah,
we're not really participating if we're walking with our head down, thinking about how the world sucks,
yeah,
uh, or just not thinking about anything. But if we're walking with our chin up and we're like noticing what's around us, the sun shining or it's raining, whatever. That banana peel's right there. I see it. I noticed it, so I won't slip on it. Or maybe I don't notice it. I slip on it, but it leads me to some other adventure, right?
yeah.
But we gotta be awake, like be
Away,
aware enough to like
away.
see
Yeah,
those things.
see those things. Yeah, and also being you see those things, but even to like shift the angles, you have to be able to see things in different angles,
Hmm.
and it's maybe look at the angle that may most benefit you. Um, because a lot of times, like where, like you said, some people just concentrate on the negative angles, but if you shift how you're looking at it, oh, this is totally this looks like something different now, and like circumstances or things that we come that may come in our lives, um can have multiple truths. um there's multiple angles in which we can perceive those things, but I think most importantly we can choose on how on what we want to see. And a lot of times people are just seeing like the negative like point of view of things, and I think we talked about this recently of like just being able to choose to see things how you want to choose to. If you want to choose like the negative angle to like a for a sense of motivation, or like, yeah, you know what? It's like, yeah, I think Michael Jordan was like that, or what you say, he wanted while he's playing basketball, he wanted an angle where he felt you was disrespecting him, so he chose
Hmm.
that negative angle so it could motivate him. And then you're like, Mike, I was just like, I wasn't even trying to do all that, but now you jumped 50 points on me. But that's the angle he chose to view any like interaction in the game as something, especially with his opponent, as something negative, and then that he used that to motivate him. But some people may just choose the positive angle of any interaction, and it may it may just help them find peace as far as like how they're able to engage with people. So I think
Hmm.
you choose to see things how you choose to see it, and how it can benefit you and your world, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah. And the most important part is we can always change how we see things. It may be
Yeah.
difficult, but we can learn to see things in different manners, which is
Yeah.
a really important skill because what you're saying is true. And the best skill is to be able to do all of the above, right?
Well,
To
yeah.
like, if sometimes I want to be motivated by people's hate, then I'll learn how to
Yeah.
see it as hate. If I want to learn how to be motivated as praise or learn motivated from people's praise, then I can learn to see things from different angles, different perspectives, or and understand how I can, because we always change, right? Like humans are always where our identities are always changing, our passions are changing. So
Yeah.
learning how to do what you're talking about, but like move fluidly from them, I think
Yes,
is
exactly.
like the best skill. I'm
Yeah.
not there yet, but that's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to.
I think one bad thing is if you're choosing to see things in a certain angle all the time and it's not benefiting you and it's
Hmm.
actually causing you suffering, then
Hmm.
you're doing that to yourself, because you're choosing that lens for every interaction that or
Hmm.
every interaction that you get into. You're choosing the most this lens that doesn't benefit you, because you're not utilizing it as a motivational tool. You're not utilizing it in any way to be helpful to you. All it does is cause you suffering and causes you to like kind of like curl up and not really thrive in the world. So in that case, you have to find another angle to start viewing things so you can kind of like thrive in the world that you're creating. So listen, I think if you're moving through life and you're seeing things a certain way and it's causing you pain, it's not benefiting you, you're not thriving, then you have the obligation to shift the way you're perceiving things and interpret the world differently. This way you can find angles that you're able to navigate through and thrive in.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with the word obligation. No one has to do anything.
Yeah,
Is
as
my always my argument. My argument for being a human is you don't have to do anything. Like
but
you,
isn't this new thing now everybody's saying is your obligation to heal yourself? That's like the
yeah,
new
I hate that shit, man.
it's like it's your responsibility to heal yourself. Like, I don't care what the
I-
world did to you. I don't care what your mom did. That's the
yeah,
thing now, right?
I mean, I mean, to be fair, no one is going to heal you. So if you
Yeah,
want to be healed, it's your obligation. But if you don't want to be healed, you don't have to
then
be,
you don't
right?
have
Like you
to.
can continue on because
Yeah,
it's hey, it's your life,
life.
right? The only things that you have to do are the things that the law makes you do, and there are ways that you can get around that too, right? Like if you can figure it out, do it. We're not here to tell you what you have to do.
Yeah,
We're just giving you suggestions on
yeah,
what you can do if you want to
yeah,
be,
exactly.
I don't know, happier or not even happier. I think what we're giving people is like a way to figure out who they are and then decide what they want to do. That's it. We're giving people
Yeah,
tools to figure out who their best version of themselves is, or even if they want to do that. And that's all I
yeah,
care about, right? I just want people to have
yeah,
options. I don't think people
yeah.
should be told who they are or who they have to be.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like we can choose. We can choose. That's the I think that concept of like people saying free will or yeah, free will, I think is the ability to choose the life you want to live or choose or at least choose in how you interpret your life.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know, man. Am I saying that right? I don't
I
know.
mean, it could be it's your definition. This is
Yeah,
back to this what I was just saying. It's your bro. It's your this is your experience. You get to
yeah,
experience it how you want. There are
yeah,
limitations that they try to put on us, and by they, I just mean the systems that have been built. And uh, the only thing we can do is find out who we are and live within the bounds that we want to live within, and
mm,
do our best to define those ourselves.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get liberated
yeah.
uh, mentally, physically. Maybe one day when Elon gets us off this planet, maybe we'll be going to new dimensions. That's what I'm waiting for. When we can
Yeah.
go to outer
Move like,
space,
oh yeah, right. People be
and then to
traveling to like vacation in like some distant planet.
I'm trying to see the
Teleport.
planet from off the planet. You feel
Oh
me?
yeah.
That's my dream. But I don't want to be an astronaut because that's too much work.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting how these conversations be going. Question, you like to be in I feel like you like to be in like this dark room where you seem like this like
No, man, don't even start, bro. I keep asking you to do it early. That's why I'm trying to do it early because
oh yeah,
like
because
that's when all my light is. You saw it when it started. I was hella lit up. I was looking
yeah,
good, and as
yeah.
it went on, it got darker.
You don't have the other light though, right?
What other light?
The one
I
that
got. What's crazy is I have lights on. It doesn't. I don't know why my camera doesn't pick up how bright it is in
oh
here,
really?
but like I got lights on over in the corner. See that light
Okay,
over
okay, okay,
there?
okay, okay.
I
It's
got a light over there. I got light
yeah.
shining.
Okay.
They're just not reaching my face. I'm too.
Yeah. I mean, I got a lot of light here.
I don't like
But
over him
somebody
light.
asked me though that it's like he doesn't have light. I
He
was like,
doesn't
I think
have
that's
light.
like the look. He's like
That's the dungeon, bro. This is what
the
happens when you come to
dungeon.
the dungeon. This is the
Exactly.
dungeon. This is what happens when your partner never shows up early enough, so I
Yeah,
can
right.
only do it in the dark time.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, man. So what else? What else we want to talk about? Any like do we do start doing current events or something like that? I don't know if like
I think
it's like
35 minutes is
yes,
good for right now, but I don't think we
John
should get into.
Morant recently.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
we
What do
can't
we
do
think
current.
about? Let's go here. I wanted to go here. What do you think about John Morant, and is this something that can be considered a mental health? I think that was like the first thing he when he first pulled out the gun in the video. He made it. I guess it was like a mental health. That was like the response. Am I wrong with that, or that's what I thought it was?
I have no idea. I don't know anything
Or
about
you
who
know,
you're talking about.
okay, man. So I ain't even. But anyway, for those who's listening, John Morant, second time. He's a basketball player. So young kid. I think he's early 20s. So he's a basketball player making probably hundreds of millions of dollars, and he pulls. You know how the drill rappers they pull out guns in their Instagram videos.
Yeah.
So he did that not once. So the first time he did that, they suspended him 8 days. The NBA suspended him. The sec he did it again. It's like,
Why?
what's wrong with this guy? He's making $100 million like a year. So I mean, I,
Was it like a "you can't tell me what to do" kind of thing the second time?
who knows what his? I think he went to like the 3 days in some type of I don't know if it was a mental health facility. I don't know. I didn't follow it too much, but the second time I'm like, man, how do you do this twice? You're making so much money and he's a big time player. So
Why do we care?
I mean, I think people care because he's an NBA star, and also it talks about the just like when we think about the young people we deal with, right? They kind of do similar things, right? Where they kind of like um just do things like show off their gun on their IG or in their rap videos, or so recognizing what is like the root of that, and like even it doesn't benefit them, right? Like all you're doing is creating you're if anything you're highlighting.
I
Yeah,
understand the kids in the hood. I don't know what it's like to be rich and be a kid from the hood. So I don't know. I have no idea what it's like for Ja.
yeah,
And I also, I don't know. It's hard for me to say that I don't care. I don't care because the only reason they're talking about it is because he's an athlete. They're
yeah,
not talking about it when it does come to the kids that we're talking about. And that's why I'm saying why like I care when it comes to these kids,
yeah,
and that's not making the news. No one's like, what's going on with kids and why are they doing this? Oh, here's an example of it. Let's get to know what's going on with him and maybe we'll understand what's going on with the rest of these kids.
yeah,
No, they're just talking about it because he's an athlete and he makes a lot of money and he entertains them. So they're
yeah,
mad at him because he entertains them and they can't figure out why he makes the decisions he makes, but they don't
yeah,
most of them don't care about him as a person or what he's
yeah,
going through. So I definitely don't care about people talking about it. But if they were to start talking about any of the boys that I've ever interacted with, or any of the types of boys that I've ever interacted with that
mhm,
have those same issues, and we started to try to solve that problem, then I'd be happy to join you in this conversation.
yeah,
But until then, it's a waste of my time.
yeah. But I thought it was interesting because despite the money he makes and like so excuse me. So despite the money he makes and the opportunity he obviously has as a NBA star, like this guy is like unbelievable. Um, he's making these decisions. So and knowing that it doesn't benefit himself, doesn't benefit the brand that. I'm not even talking about the NBA. I'm talking about him as a brand and someone who's obviously going to be he's going to be he has the potential to make even more money. So, for me, I think of like obviously something's not right and I think of mental health. Personally,
Why?
I think of mental health
Because
because
he's making decisions that you wouldn't make.
yeah, I think he's making decisions that just doesn't make sense and it doesn't make sense and it doesn't benefit him and it doesn't benefit his
I
family or
mean,
anyone. Yeah,
I
and it
don't, I
actually
don't,
hurts him.
I don't know whether or not that's true. I
Yeah.
don't know what his life is like. Again,
Mhm.
I don't think any of us know what his life is like, and I don't know where he comes from that might make him do these kinds of
Yeah.
things. I do know that there's no way for us to know why unless he comes out and tells
Mhm.
you why he made those decisions. And everything that we're saying, everything that we're like, it has to be this because I don't know why else he would do
Yeah.
that. That's just
Yeah.
that's the same as what people do when it comes to so much. They like assume a lot, and
Yeah.
then once we start assuming, we start making narratives up in our head, and then all of a sudden we're living in the narrative we made up, and we don't even know what reality is because we started with an assumption to begin with, and that
Mhm.
assumption led us wherever we were headed in our minds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And I actually, that's a good point. I actually was listening to a podcast earlier. I don't know which one, but there, because I think his initial thing was like, it's like people were saying, is this a health thing, a mental health thing? Is this something you need to take care of? Is there like too much of a using that as a like a scapegoat for just poor decisions and just being a knucklehead or being just like I said, just poor decisions and just bad choices? Are we using? Is that is that a thing that we're overly using?
I have no idea. I do know our society is hectic and it's not conducive to the best um, decision making. Like we're very hyperactive. Uh, there's a lot more screens. There's just a lot more social interactions that have to happen. There's a lot more anxiety that exists in people.
Hmm.
So I don't know if it's true or not true to say, are we scapegoating mental health for poor decision making or just being a knucklehead? But I would say most of the things that we say is just being a knucklehead or blame individuals for not being good enough decision makers or human beings. A lot of it is tied to how how in how much our society goes against what individuals are, right? Like we're not taught all the skills to learn who we are. We're not taught the skills to love who we are. We're not taught the skills to make the best choices for who we are.
Hmm.
So all those are going to lead to a lot of people making poor choices.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like, oh, we're blaming it on mental health. I think we should be blaming it more on how our society is set up than on
So,
mental health. Like we keep saying, oh, people have poor mental health. Really, people have poor mental health because the way our society is structured causes people to have poor mental health.
mhm.
So it's like the real root is is how humans are expected to behave and to socialize in this fucked up
Yeah.
structure.
Yeah. I mean, I think you make a good point. I think, like you said, it's just a little bit more complex than, or if it's um, just more factors. I mean, can we just say mental health? Can we talk about society? Maybe more conversations on like what are the structures of society, specifically in people in certain neighborhoods, where we're seeing
Hmm.
issues like this, issues of gun violence, issues of just
Hmm.
everything, poverty, economics, just those are just like things that we have to talk about when we talk about like those, issues of poor decisions. But I mean, the poor decisions happen in every, in all areas, all demographics. So I mean,
Yeah. And that's
yeah,
why I say
so
it's like the whole structure. It's not just
yeah,
poor people or brown people or whatever. It's there's something wrong in every facet of our society because rich people kill themselves and have very little empathy for what's going on in the world. Tend to uh, middle class is suffering. Poor people on all spectrums, regardless of your race or sex, are
mhm,
suffering, and that just points to something being wrong at every, no matter what your socioeconomic status is.
yeah,
There's a broken piece in the system
hmm
for everyone.